All right, Tone, look, so much to talk about, but I think it's right that we start with the big WBC super featherweight title fight on the weekend, Oscar Valdez versus Robson CONCEICAO. So much going into that fight. The failed drug test, will the fight happen or not? It did happen. In the end, Oscar Valdez got the win. Robson CONCEICAO and his team have appealed that victory. One judge, and this is very, very rare in boxing, I have to mention his name, Stephen Blee, who scored the fight initially 117-110, has put an open letter out to the public saying, look, I got it wrong. The fight should have been scored 115-112 or 115-113. That's refreshing to see. But at the end of the day, Robson CONCEICAO thought he won the fight, lost it. And I guess we have to move on. But how do you kind of look at that as a whole, especially the judge, you know, putting an open letter out there saying, look, I got it wrong?
I think full credit needs to go to Stephen Blee, and I feel that all judges should be held accountable for their cards, especially when they get it, you know, so badly wrong at times. Fighters put their lives on the line in the ring, and the most admirable and honest thing you can do is just give you answers of why your card is so wide or why you've seen it the way you did. And I think Stephen Blee done that, and I think it's admirable, and I think it should be carried on in the future as well. As for the fight itself, Robson CONCEICAO done really well. Valdez does what he does. You know, I think the fight was close. It depends what you actually like when you're watching the fight. CONCEICAO, either way here, is the man who's being hard done by. Number one, I don't think the fight should have ever taken place. And number two, I think CONCEICAO should have been heavily compensated. So that's my opinion on it. It'll be interesting to see CONCEICAO's next move, because he's requested and demanded a rematch. I'm not going to lie, he's not going to get it. Valdez will look to move on. But it's interesting, you know, it's a good division, and it's something where both fighters can now gain from. I think CONCEICAO will get an awful lot of credit. You know, he's pushed a man who's failed a drug test right to the limit. And as for Valdez, it's a if anything, he's got the win, Addy, but he actually comes out looking the worse. He's failed the drug test. He hasn't performed great in front of a guy who's, you know, who's proven that he's clean. So it's just it's a dirty situation. If I'm being totally honest, it's one that I don't like.
Yeah, you're right. It's a dirty situation, and I'm with you. For CONCEICAO, he comes out winning here, doesn't he? Fingers crossed that he gets another opportunity to make some good money, maybe a crack at another champion. For Oscar Valdez, look, he's called out the win of Jamal Herring versus Shakur Stevenson. We'll see how that fight plays out. Fight that I'm really looking forward to. And let's be honest, boxing will move on. Dazn put a card on in Austria, headlined by Filip Hrgovic versus RYDER. A couple of UK fighters on that card as well. The highly touted Dalton Smith, John RYDER, who's been very inactive, and John Hedges as well. Let's start with Hrgovic. Look, no disrespect to RYDER, but I don't want to see those type of fights from him anymore. He's clearly far too good. Some people think he's a top 10 heavyweight. So at the minimum, he should be fighting guys in the top 15. You know, put your manager hat on if you can, Tony. Who next for Hrgovic? There's so many fighters out there.
I do like the Rivas fight. I like the Lewis Ortiz fight. There's a number of fights that I like out there for him. The former cruiserweight title contender, who I'd like to see him fight. His name evades me. We were talking off before about him, Addy. So, you know, I would like to see that. There's a number of fights, as I said, I'd like to see him in. But these fights are doing him no good. You know, he needs to step up a level. He needs to show how good he is. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Joe Joyce. I think that would be an absolute monster of a fight. I actually think Joe Joyce would beat him. I'm not going to lie. I don't see many being able to get rid of Joe Joyce. And if you can't get rid of Joe Joyce, you're going to lose to Joe Joyce. I think it's that simple.
Yeah, it's interesting. I spoke to Sam Jones the other day. I was like, okay, look, come on, Sam. Tell me, what do you want next for Joe Joyce? And he said, look, we want Joseph Parker or we want Luis Ortiz. So that's what they're looking at. Another name potentially for Hrgovic is Tony Yoka, Olympic gold medalist in 2016. Obviously beat Joe Joyce in that Olympic final. He's out there. He fought on the weekend as well. So look, what we do know is it's a really good division. It's a thriving division. Eric Chisora is there now. He's signed to 258 Management, AJ's company. So look, loads of options for Hrgovic. So it can't be anyone outside the top 15 next, as far as I'm concerned. Quick word, if you can, as well, Tone, on John RYDER. Obviously, look, he's been inactive really since that unlucky defeat to Callum Smith. The fight was at light heavy, but obviously super middle. 33 now. He's obviously going to want an opportunity very, very soon. Fingers crossed he can get another crack at someone within sort of the top 10 of the world, or maybe even a world title, who knows?
I think he's due one. I think he put an absolutely fantastic display in against Callum Smith. So deserves an opportunity. He's been, as you've said there, inactive for a while. Has it been an injury? Has he just been something wrong with him? I don't know, but it's good to see him back. John's always in good fights. He's a really good fighter. Part of a really good, solid team with Tony Sims down there and all the other guys like Connor Benz. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing him back out again after Saturday night, and let's see where he goes.
Yeah, that was that card in Austria. There was a cracking card put on by Mick Hennessy in Coventry. The headline out was Sam Eggington versus BILELJKITOU. We're going to speak to Sam next. Sam's always in these wars. Some people like him, some don't. I'm kind of mixed with it. I don't like it personally because I've watched Sam since he turned pro. Look, he can box on the back foot, he can use his jab, he can slip the punches. But when there's a crowd there, Sam does like to get involved. But in the end, it was a fight of the year contender. And Sam will be looking for a world title shot next. Again, someone in the top 10, top 15.
There's only so many of them you can have, Addy. And he let's be totally honest, he's already had one too many of them hard fights. And EGGINGTON showed that he was there and he wasn't going anywhere. So Sam, you know, I do worry about the likes of Sam Eggington. He's a fighter who needs protecting from himself. You know, we're going to speak to him later on in the show, but my first thing would be, you need a rest now, lad. You need a break. You know, his life has revolved around boxing for such a long time, and he's been in war after war after war. Let's not forget, he's the one in there taking the punches. Managers, the trainers, the promoters, it's all well and good putting on these great shows and then putting on these hard nights for the boxers. But as I've said before, and I'll say again, there's only so many times the fighter can go to the well, and Sam's been to that well on a number of occasions.
No, I'm with you, and I echo everything you're saying there. As a fan of his and someone that, you know, you want to look and speak to him well after his career is over and done with, you do kind of get concerned about these wars. I mean, look, he wins most of them that he's in, but again, having seen him fight a style where he can fight on the back foot and, you know, slip punches and use his feet a lot more, and that's what I want to see him do in the future. So fingers crossed Sam does that. But we will be speaking to Sam in a couple of minutes, and we'll ask him those questions as well, especially what next, right? That's always the question every boxer gets, no matter what, if it's a war or not a war, what do you want to do next? And look, we'll ask Sam those questions.